And we're now going to move over to the world of AI. So we're going to be joined now by Alex Zhavoronkov of Insilico Medicine, who we've just published an article about today, who've got some interesting news. So Alex, over to you.
Right. Hi, Phil, and hi, everybody. Great pleasure to be with you today. I hope many of you know me. I'll share my screen, and I'll be speaking about Insilico today. So, I don't want to join the breakout room, but I need the share presentation. Okay, perfect. So I hope you can see my screen.
Yeah, we're good. Thanks, Alex. Over to you.
Perfect. Thanks. So thanks everybody for staying for my talk. And I'm going to be talking about Insilico Medicine today. Many of you have heard the name. The company is focused primarily on AI for drug discovery, but we do have a lot of projects in longevity. So if you count all those projects, it's kind of, you can make 5 companies out of those. Actually, the news Phil was talking about. So today we signed a really cool contract and announced it with a company called Taisho Pharmaceutical. They are the largest over-the-counter drug vendor in Japan, and they are quite famous for their work in aging. So they just recently licensed their HIF inhibitor to BioAge. So that's the kind of really cool deal that they made. And they just recently hired us to do end-to-end AI-powered analytic drug discovery. So we do both target discovery and small molecule generation. So that's the first deal of this kind in the world of AI. And it's both kind of notable for aging research community and for the AI-powered drug discovery, because it's a serious pharma company. And I'll tell you a little bit about Insilico. So we are currently about 130 people worldwide. 80 of us are AI scientists hired through competitions or hackathons worldwide, then trained in AI and trained in chemistry and biology. We were originally founded in Rockville, but now I'm calling in from Hong Kong. And we have offices in Maryland, we have Shanghai, Taipei, Moscow, St. Petersburg, and we have a scattered labor force of drug discovery experts as well. We raised 52 million from expert investors since 2014, and currently there is, so the investor interest so high that I'm not allowed to talk to investors. If you want to reach out, don't reach out to me on Insilico. Because my board is doing that. We specialize in target discovery. So we identify novel targets using AI, and we also have a large QL network where we can very quickly do validation experiments. And we work with about 80 contract research organizations that we source the data from, or we do validation. We have the capability to generate novel chemistry, and that capability is currently in high demand in pharma. So about 10 out of the top 20 pharmaceutical companies are either deploying or have deployed our software in one way or another. We specialize in generative adversarial networks and deep reinforcement learning. About 100 peer-reviewed papers in this area since 2014. We also originate our IP. We usually patent before publishing. And some of our work that we did in 2016, so in generative chemistry, has recently been highlighted as top 10 breakthroughs of the year, MIT Technology Review in 2020. We try not to think of ourselves as expert in any one of the areas, either target discovery or generative chemistry or prediction of clinical trials outcomes. We try to be an MMA fighter, and I think that it's very important to think about AI-powered drug discovery as MMA sport. So you can specialize in one area and be very good at it, but you won't be able to grab the entire picture to be able to deliver drugs to the market. And that's our goal at Insilico. So if you think about us in a nutshell, we do target discovery, generative chemistry, virtual screening, and clinical trials outcomes prediction with next-gen AI. We are providing software to big pharma companies primarily, and also we'll open some of our software as a service starting November 10th. The system called Pandomics and a few associate systems. So you can apply for an account at insilico.com/pandomics and wait until we give you the trial account. And then if you like the software, you can pay for it. And we have an internal pipeline of drugs. Currently, we have 7 therapeutic programs. Some are targeting fibrosis, cancer, but also some are very related to senescence, and some are nearing IND enabling. I'll talk a little bit about those. So our core technology is GANs and reinforcement learning. So think of it as AI strategy and AI imagination. We have about 150 research partnerships worldwide, so that allows us to tap into many different data pockets and knowledge pockets. Many of the people on the call are collaborating with us directly or indirectly. So some of the examples are, in target discovery, we have Pfizer, Boehringer Ingelheim, a few others. Many of those are unannounced. Generative chemistry, we have Astellas, Beijing Tide, and many others. And you just saw Taisho today in both categories, actually. Prediction of clinical trials, we work with large banks and hedge funds, where they challenge us to predict clinical trials outcomes for companies that are very sensitive to clinical trials outcomes, specifically phase 2. And we provide them with detailed reports and scores on why do we think those trials are going to be failing or succeeding. So far, we have very good track record in some areas we have like 96, 97% ROC/OC. And I'll very briefly talk about the tech. So if you don't know about GANs, I highly recommend looking at this paper because it's highly visual. You have 2 deep neural networks competing with each other. So one is a generating meaningful noise, and then another one is a discriminator, which is trying to figure out whether the output of the generator is true or false. So they compete with each other. And this paper showed for the first time in 2016 that you can give this deep neural network some text. This small bird has a pink breast and crown, black primaries and secondaries, and generates those birds where you can see that the direction is there. And then you can do it as template-based generation, so you can give it a bird and then redesign the bird. Or you can actually, as presented here, you can basically give it the ability to generate those birds with only very vague description. And then you can sample from the latent space, depending on the distribution. You can pick a variety of those birds. So it gives you a lot of variability. So we use this technology everywhere. You can see how it does create fake faces. So continuous data types are very well captured by GANs and generated by GANs. We work in the discrete space as well. So molecules are discrete structures. One atomic substitution would result in major dramatic results. And we work on both. So I also generate synthetic human data using GANs. I'm not talking about pictures. I'm talking about transcriptomic data, proteomic data, etc. So I can very quickly generate a large data set from a very small subset. And we also use it for generative chemistry. So in generative chemistry, if you look at the history of deep learning, deep neural nets are not new, but GANs are very new. 2014 was the first date when the first proof of principle paper was published by Ian Goodfellow out of the University of Montreal and on Google. And the first paper in this field on generative chemistry, peer-reviewed paper called The Cornucopia of Meaningful Leads, published in 2016, was mine, quite highly cited. We've then published a few others. 2017, we started putting a lot of money into validation, so synthesizing and testing. And 2017, end of 2017, we managed to test, got the first round of investment, tested some more, and got another round of investment. And now we can generate the molecules with up to 22 parameters. And we also provide software to do that to big pharma companies. So we pretty much provide an operating system that they can deploy on their premises in a high-performance computing environment or on the cloud. And this system allows them to, as you can see, in 2019, we already started allowing other people to build their own models that generate really nice chemical matter with specific properties. And then we have about 500 medicinal chemistry filters that allow you to filter out the molecules that do not look great to the medicinal chemists and that are very unlikely to work. And we also prioritize synthetic accessibility, so we can very quickly synthesize the molecules that we believe have those properties that we desire from a drug. And we also created this as a software. So it fits in our fully integrated AI drug discovery pipeline. The system is called Chemistry 42. Again, if you are from a big pharma company and if you don't have this capability, so please do email me. Currently, we have a long list of pharma companies waiting for deployment, and some are already deployed. So if you don't have this capability, don't miss out. Contact us or partner with us on a pilot. We would be able to generate the chemistry for you. And for targeted discovery, we have a system called Pandomics, which allows you to go through millions of data sets and also huge amounts of text data to be able to come up with new target hypotheses. And we cater to pretty much every phase of the pharma R&D, so both hypothesis generation all the way to clinical trials outcomes prediction. As you have seen, Taisho partnered with us on pretty much all the kind of R side. So from target hypothesis to all the way to late preclinical. And many of those modules are supported by publications and top peer-reviewed journals. So just find us in Insilico plus Medicine on PubMed. And the way we partner with external parties, we do a partner on clinical risk assessment and portfolio triage. So people challenge us to predict the outcomes of clinical trials. We discover novel targets, novel small molecule design, and most importantly, we actually have our internal programs. So the one that is nearing IND enabling is a fibrosis novel target, a novel set of molecules. And we provide a software suite to Big Pharma, as I mentioned, so Pandomics, Chemistry 42, and Unclinico. We substantially reduce the cost of the pharma R&D for target discovery. If it's easy to validate, if somebody already has a validation assay, we can propose a set of targets specifically designed for that validation assay or specifically designed for a specific patient subpopulation. And we can also very quickly produce novel generated hits for reasonably difficult targets and sometimes undruggable targets. But of course, for those we would charge much more. In terms of the internal programs, currently we have 7. Most of those programs contain known targets where there is a POC, but some are novel targets, and we cannot disclose those. We currently have a program that is a panfibrotic target. So we've identified it actually using aging research. So we generated several types of biological data and projected it into the future. So created multiple patient subpopulations, identified targets that are likely to work in both liver, lung, and multiple other fibrotic diseases, and generated novel chemistry and did in vitro and vivo validation in under 18 months. So in March 2018, we already identified a list of targets, generated chemistry using our more primitive algorithms at that time, validated in Big Pharma, externalized, used more advanced algorithms to redesign the molecules, tested in vitro, in vivo. So we have several NASH models where the compound worked, got quite a bit of money to continue development after experts looked at the data. And then we decided to also look at many other alternative disease areas, because if we are to go into humans, we need to have more options at this point in time, because NASH is a little bit too crowded. And you want to show a proof of concept somewhere else. So that's my contact information. You can either scan my WeChat or email me. And yeah, just wanted to say that we're pretty active in COVID. Developed discovered a range of molecules that target C3-like protease already, and validated experimentally with the help of Intel, actually. So they gave us the compute and some funding. And we now have, so you can see here some proof of concept. So we have 43 nanomolar inhibitors of C3-like protease with many of the properties confirmed. Currently, that's the best in class for this target. And we also have the ability to stratify patients in COVID by severity and survival, also funded by Intel and in close collaboration with the company. We work with massive data sets to be able to predict severity and survival. Yeah, so lots of interesting data there. I can share the results if you like in more kind of private chat.
Yep. Well, Alex, you are probably the busiest guy in longevity, and I know Thomas, you had a question. So, would you like to ask your question to Alex?
Well, I would say we have many chances to do that. I did pose a question in chat. Alex, please go proceed to the breakout, and I think we can keep to schedule by bringing on the next company. We'll be in touch.
Perfect.
Thanks very much, Alex.
I will be speaking on deep longevity today, so
you'll be back.
You'll be back in a short while.
15 minutes. Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Alex.